back to
No, I'm done.
the weird and the wonderful
Nice.
with Strange Bones. That's me.
Yeah.
And we're starting ever so slightly later than normal, but nevertheless, welcome. I hope you are doing fantastically. It is finally a little bit warmer and a lot wetter, but nevertheless, we're doing good. J-Bell, welcome. I hope you're all in fine form. And we have a bit of an interesting one for this evening. I'm looking for things to talk about and keeping in theme with the strange and the different, and we came up with a rather interesting question chatting with people on different channels and things. So, where does the concept of a ghost come from? And in all the different stories, how do we know the difference between something that is a haunting and perhaps something demonic? And with that said, where do we get the concept of a ghost from, or of a demon from, or of any other kind of spirit? It seems that we automatically take it as given as to what we're talking about, but where did these ideas originate? And does it matter? Because I suppose in many ways you might say that the older the idea, the more likely it's based on certain experiences. But what might those experiences be? So I decided to do a little bit of a deep dive into what we're even talking about, and then have a look at a couple of rather interesting cases which might be one thing or another, and we can see what we think it might be and see what sort of answers we might find. But with that as our theme for tonight, I thought I think that we can sort of get stuck in, but I must begin with the usual rules. We have just one rule on the channel, and that is don't be rude. And the reason we have the rule is because we have a number of different peoples from all over the world and different countries and cultures with different views on things, and we don't judge. We are here merely to share thoughts, interests, find something to talk about and all the rest of that without in any way particularly pointing out anybody as right or wrong. We are not subscribing to. Hey Zah.
Hello.
How are you?
You don't remember me?
Of course I remember you. I know your voice.
Hello.
Are you in fine form, sir?
Yes, it's December. Merry Christmas in 24 days. Happy.
Christmas. Goodness gracious me.
We should talk about Krampus and yeah, we should on Christmas.
Well, that I've been saving for closer to the time, because absolutely it is something that does need to be spoken of. Krampus, Santa Claus, all of the Christmassy things. Why trees? What are we talking about? And all the rest of that goes along with Christmas. So absolutely, that's going to be a topic. We are saving it for now because we're still early days yet. Early days, but it's coming. Apparently I sound like the villain in that first Spider-Man. Who was the villain in the first Spider-Man?
What's his name? You'd actually not do the now that I think of it.
I can't remember now.
Can't you?
The Green Goblin.
Don't put it in. Don't put it in.
Yes, yes.
Yes. That, okay.
Okay, put it in.
Okay.
Do actually that.
That
He's an almost only the first one.
Yes, I can't remember his name, but he was an amazing actor. I've seen him in a couple of things. He's really, really good. But yeah, I didn't know I sounded like that. But okay. But with that
Help me.
said,
You see, that's my room, right? This is my there's a TV right here.
yes.
Scary. It's scary. Oh, look at the moon.
Why is it scary?
Doggy. Oh, it's dark and there's a tuckalosh outside.
Oh, as long as he stays outside, we're good.
I'm scared. Where's my dog? Ash! Run!
He's normally the one shouting at you. So, yeah, as we get going, make sure
Go to my room
to...
first. I'm not gonna sing this scary
Well,
room.
do be warned, because we've got very scary topics for tonight.
Oh yeah, right. I've never been scared of anything you talk about.
We shall see. I see Mickey's just joined us. Welcome, Mickey.
Who's Mickey? Oh, wait.
You forgot. Ooh, you're going to get smacked. Smacked by the boss. Ah, that's hilarious. But yes, remember guys, we run the channel based on you, so like, share, subscribe, do all of the good things. Join the fan club, why not? Join in with...
I do remember Mickey.
Yes. Join
She's
with...
the she's the OG, the original gangster.
Yes, she is. She absolutely is. And one of our favorite
I?
supporters.
Am
Like
I?
you. Yes, you're one of the top ones.
Oh, I thought you said not like you.
Did you not know you're one of the top followers?
Huh?
I
Me?
keep track of how long everyone has been following on, and you're one of the top ones.
How long have I been here?
Oh
How
goodness,
many?
I can't remember now. I'll have to go and look again. I see Spooky's just joined us as well, which is
Spooky
great.
also,
Yes,
long
you,
one.
Spooky, Mickey, and Endless Thoughts are the top ones.
yeah, wait, let me invite in the sports. I've seen she hasn't been coming in.
Yes. Okay, so now we've just been asked, what is this live about? Well, we've done a
We talk
whole...
about scary stuff.
We
and
are.
Oh, can I say?
Well, this is a special one of importance because of all the scary things we've spoken of. We've talked about ghosts, we've talked about demons, we've
Urban
talked about
legends.
jinn, we've talked
And
about...
urban legends.
Yes, we have. But here's a question for you. Have we ever actually figured out why we call demons demons, why we call ghosts ghosts, and where
No.
the idea of any of that comes from?
I have a meaning for ghost.
Well, we know what...
General honesty. Skibbity dove something, I don't know.
Well, we know what they are, but how did we come to start believing in such things as human beings? I mean...
Yeah, I've seen a ghost, so I don't care what you'll say.
Yeah.
I know I've seen a door close by itself. I know that I saw a monkey in my cupboard. I know I've seen...
Yes, there is that.
Ooh, it's dark in my room. I hate it.
But there are a number of questions that need answering, at least. And then, having answered those questions, we also do need to make sure to have a look at a couple of famous cases in order to see if what we are told is the answer actually holds up. Is that not correct? Spooky, how are you doing?
Hi, I'm good, thanks. And how are you?
Good, I'm glad to hear that. What happened to Mickey? She came on and disappeared again.
Wow.
No, I don't know.
How could you?
I don't know. Nevertheless.
Wait,
So,
do you know what Spooky reminds me of?
Yeah.
Those corn chips. Think about it. Spookies? You know Spookies?
No, I don't know.
Huh?
Spookies? There are chips called Spookies?
Yes.
I did not know that.
Wow.
Well,
You're not South African enough.
apparently not. Well, you get lots of different brands, and I don't eat a great deal of chippies, I'm afraid.
True.
It would be nice if I did. Okay,
Well, you know about ghosts.
Kurtley
you know
knows about
demons.
chippies. Well, that seems fair.
Yeah.
Okay, so ghosts and demons. Where do we get the concepts? Why demons? Now, most of us have our ideas from Christianity, which is fine, but historically speaking, Christianity
Wait, can I
is
say
fairly
something?
new. Yes.
I'm gonna stay up until like 22 past 11.
Okay.
I wanna go my friend so we can play games.
That seems very reasonable to me. Excellent idea. Okay, so we know that Christianity it's only a bit over 2,000 years old, whereas people have been around for a lot longer. So our ideas of things started way before modern Christianity or modern Islam, for that matter. So two of the major religions around the world are fairly new, historically speaking. Okay. Now, the idea of all of these things existed long before that. So, we therefore need to go back in time and see where did things actually start to come out, so we can start defining what we're even talking about. Fair? So,
Oh yeah.
we know that in ancient Mesopotamia, the Babylonians, the Sumerians, and all of them, they definitely did believe in both ghosts and demons. Though in their case, demons could be both good or
Can I
bad.
bring something up
Yes.
I think
about ghosts, demons, and gods?
Gods will have to be done separately because,
because,
they
like,
have a
that's
very
latter-
specific setup and
But
are
I
quite
would say
different.
it falls in. I mean, if you're gonna
It
believe
follows on. It falls in and follows on. But I'm thinking the next live we'll do that, because already we must do demons and ghosts and spirits, which
we don't
lead
know enough about it.
up
I mean,
to.
It's actually pointless talking about this because we know absolutely nothing. Today I was looking at Puma Punku.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a little star.
Well, you say we know nothing, and on one side you are quite correct, but humans have believed things for a very long time. So we are going to have to look at the human experience and explanation at the
Because
very
there might
least.
have been gods like 100,000 years ago.
Oh, yes.
People believing in it and having rituals and praying and doing all sorts of weird things.
Of course,
Those bones?
absolutely. But what we would call formal religion.
Can I say something?
Yes.
I don't think you should let Curtly on, because like I'm looking at his account. He doesn't have any videos.
Okay. Well, as you know, and with no shade thrown at anybody, to be allowed on, you have to have been on the channel a few times. So as a new person, and without any disrespect to any of it, he wouldn't be on. You have to have been on long enough that you are a known follower. And that's just
No,
a
Curtly,
rule.
I'm just saying that because like you know, because some people on here comes and they like, yeah, you master, yeah, you know,
We do have to know people. That is true. So we are careful because of extreme trollage in the past. Because I suppose, unsurprisingly, not everybody enjoys what we discuss.
I enjoyed like, oh, that's nice.
But nevertheless, opinions are absolutely encouraged and comments. So yes. So Sumerians and Babylonians believed in demons and ghosts, though their demons could be good or bad. And you had a whole selection of them that dealt with all kinds of different demons. Ghosts obviously were only one kind, but they had a full session going there all the time. We also know that in ancient Egypt there was a whole collection of different major and minor, let's call them spirits for now, because some were good and some were bad. And we're going to get into the distinction in a bit. But certainly a lot of the ancient cultures absolutely did believe. Now, the Greeks, of course, we had all kinds of gods, spirits, demons, and such like things. And all of these early beliefs definitely had an influence on the modern. Jan wants to talk about his experience. Jan, you are more than welcome to comment. As I say, we have quite a bit of a strict rule on the channel that you have to have been on the live a couple of times in order to come on live because of serious troll issues in the past. But certainly throw up comments.
Just hide.
No problem at all. Welcome to Endless Thoughts as well, who's popped up. But yes, do bring up yours. We would love to hear it. And yeah, hi to you too, E.T. Now, as we were saying, the ancient beliefs influenced the modern beliefs. And of course, along with that, you had Zoroastrianism, which is a lot older than people think. And of course, Zoroastrianism severely influenced Jewish mythology, which was the next one. In terms of time, no probs. In terms of time, it was Zoroastrianism, Judaism, Christianity, and then Islam. So historically and in time. So the Zoroastrian view of things had plenty of demons and stuff, both good and bad, as well as, of course, other spiritual beings. And that affected Judaism, which obviously had a great deal of influence on Christianity in turn, which colors a lot of our modern thinking as well. Now, Judaism has in fact have a whole collection of things, demons, fallen angels, normal angels, spirits, and more. And in fact, if you read the famous Book of the Watchers, there's a whole ton of stuff on that in the Judaic system. Within Christianity, of course, as you know, we have angels and demons and spirits and fallen angels and all the rest, which absolutely has a major effect even on other people in the modern age who are not Christian, absolutely as well. And of course, within Islam, not only do you have demon spirits, ghosts, gods, and all the rest of it, you also have the jinn. So we've got a whole selection of sources, if you will. Now, if you add to all of the if you read this, drop a comment. I'm going to drop a comment just for that. And it's going to be, comment. Thanks, Spooky. We're going to take a chance with Jan because he says he has a particular personal experience to share, which may add.
Hello.
Hello, how are you?
Good and you, Mensa.
Very, very good. You say you have a personal experience.
Yeah, I do.
Go for it.
And I came across this live and I just saw that we're warning the people about what is happening in the spirit realm.
Okay.
So let me start from the beginning. Me and my friends, we were playing on a Ouija board and we decided to tempt the spirits.
Okay.
Sorry, my microphone keeps cutting out for some reason.
No, it's all good. It's all good.
So then while we were playing with the Ouija board,
Okay.
then one of my friends starts hearing voices.
Okay. Now, did only the friend hear the voices?
No,
Okay, so you all did.
we all heard the voices.
Okay. And
But my one friend, except the one friend, he thought we were all messing around with him.
Now, did you hear what the voices were saying, or could you just hear
There
that?
was multiple voices.
Okay.
Then then the one friend who did not hear the voices, he started seeing faces everywhere, and he knew that there was big trouble coming.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And the voices, wait,
Well, in
sorry,
yeah, go on.
no, you can say what you want to say. I'll finish the story in a bit.
No, finish the story, because there's a number of points that you've raised that become important considerations for the current life.
Okay, so the building we're doing it in, there was like a fire that happened there, and the mother, she was like crazy.
Okay.
And it was the father and the daughter who burned in the fire.
Okay.
And the friend who was seeing the faces, he said he saw a young small girl with pigtails and what looked to be a middle-aged old man. And the voices that we all heard, we can all say this.
Okay.
We heard, stop, help us. Run away before she comes.
Okay.
But it was small, like a small child voice, and then the father, you can hear a deeper voice in the background.
Interesting. Well, your story is interesting for a number of reasons. Okay. And the first reason is, as we've known from previous lives, the Ouija board is generally agreed to be something that it's a little bit dodgy to mess with. So a lot of people will say that you shouldn't. Now, I'm not saying you should, I'm not saying you shouldn't, I'm saying that the majority people out there say that it usually ends badly. So many people's stories involving the Ouija board quickly go south, shall we say. That said, what I find interesting is one of the biggest concerns with the Ouija board is, how do you know what you're getting, if that makes sense? Who you're talking to. Now, some people, and it depends on viewpoints and all the rest of it, of course, some people tell you straight away that it's absolutely demonic and evil, and all you ever get is something evil. Okay, that's one view. Some people say if you know what you're doing, you can get the spirit you're hoping to talk to. Now, the fact that the spirit said you heard seemed to fit to the background story of the place you were in says a great deal. It seems to imply that maybe you did connect with the spirits that were there, which is, after all, the point of what a Ouija board is supposed to do.
Okay, wait. Sorry, I just want to add on to give some more details.
Okay.
We were using a radio type of thing that supposedly could pick up ghost frequencies.
Interesting.
And then to test, because we thought it was a bunch of hocus pocus baloney.
Yes.
So we had our one friend, the friend who was seeing or hearing the voices. We made her put them on, so he could not hear anything.
Okay.
Then while we were communicating to the spirit on the radio, he couldn't hear what we were saying. Then he heard the voices,
Okay.
and he saw the ghost coming to him.
Oh, wow. I have
Then
to-
when he had run before it's too late, he took the headphones off and he ran out of the house. He abandoned.
to be fair, I think that I would have run too in that regard. But yeah, now this is another interesting thing, because we've spoken of these sort of radio devices in the past. I have never actually had one or tried one. Nowadays you can even get an app on your phone, I believe. And I must say, I'm curious as to, are they any good? Do they really work? All the rest of it. I don't have experience of those, to tell you.
No, let me tell you, those things were.
Okay.
Those things flipping were. I don't know if it was because of the radio, because of the location, or because heavy rely on the spirits, but I can say I don't know what it was, but for me, it worked like hell, man.
Okay. Spooky, what do you think of that? The electronic ghost communicating device.
I don't know. I've never heard of it. Never seen it before.
Okay, so well, this is obviously something we don't have a lot of experience of. I must say, I've never tried the electronic stuff. I have a number of friends that have used I think every South African in the world knows what Glassy is. It's practically a
Sorry, I'm not really familiar with all of the paranormal stuff. I want to get more into it, but now you please just explain what Glassy is to me.
Okay, so it's kind of a game thing that, geez, I think most of the kids I know have tried at some stage. I didn't try it, but my friends did, and it, again, like the Ouija board, went very south very fast, which again leads to the idea that if you know what you're doing, maybe it's different, but if you don't know what you're doing, it's probably a bad idea to mess with. But essentially, it's a game using a glass that you use much like a Ouija board, and towards the end of it, you have to smash the glass to break the connection. But they say, how true it is, I don't know, there's different versions, but they say that the spirits make the glass unbreakable. And if you can't break it, then they can get you. That's the story. Now, you use it in a number of different ways. You can use it as a glass on paper with letters like a Ouija board. You can usually do it in a group of people. I know that when my friends did it, I was actually on my way to join them, and they were in a Rondavel, staying over at a place. We were all out on a school trip, and I just saw kids diving out the windows and fleeing. So I elected not to join in, but apparently whatever happened scared the hells out of them. So yeah, it's that kind of a thing. I think a great many kids will try. I suppose in the modern age, people will take on a great deal of the electronic versions. They weren't available when I was a kid in school, so yes, I'm old enough to predate cell phones. Isn't that frightening? But yeah, so there's a lot of question as to what is out there and how do you know what you're going to get. And that's kind of the theme for tonight, because how do you know? Because if we look at the history of these things, you quickly realize that there seems to be a lot of different stuff out there. So it's kind of hard to tell. And I imagine being able to tell is kind of critical. So let's have a dive into that. By the way, thank you so much to Endless Thoughts for those gifties. I do appreciate that greatly. The Go Popular is always a good one. But yeah, with what we've said about the evolutions of the religions, they say that the belief in demons, at least according to psychology, which we don't necessarily promote or say is wrong, it likely stems from humanity's ancient fear of the unknown, the strange, and the horrific. That it is a method of personifying the malevolent or evil, which isn't really a thing outside of human action. Now, I would argue with this myself, based in the fact that, as at least you guys that have been with me for a while know, I was a monk 9 years. I worked with the Exorcist for KZN. So I have seen a few things that tell me...
Sorry, wait. I just want to add, I brought a guest here, my friend, he lives a couple blocks away from me. He does a lot of paranormal activity. He blessed to fit a few years ago. So he said, I told him about you, and he said he just also wants to share his experience.
Okay.
Hello,
Hello.
how are you?
Very, very good. How are you?
Good in you.
Good, good, good. So
I,
you also... Yes.
Yes, I'm a bit younger. I'm a teenager, and I'd like to share my paranormal activity experience if you would like to hear about it.
Absolutely. Do make note if you used any devices, just to give a brief explanation of what each one might be, because not everybody knows of the available things, as it were. But yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so it was me, another friend, and my friend that I'm currently with.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, then we had someone dressed up in church, like a church outfit that was like black, that was coming to bless the room
Okay.
in a black robe.
Okay.
So then we made a circle of salt around the Ouija board.
Okay.
We lit 3 candles on the opposite sides, like diagonal from each other in a triangle.
Yes, yes.
Then we lit 3 other ones to make it like a star.
Okay, so a 6-pointed star.
Exactly.
Okay.
Then our person who was in our room was holding like almost like a candle, but it had some water on it. Then 2 of us would sit by the Ouija board and put our fingers on the Ouija thing.
Yes. On the planchette.
Yes. The other friend was using a radio device which is able to pick up ghost activities
Okay.
because it's a IFF reader.
Yes.
Or like that. So then you would stand close to the Ouija board and our lady would speak in Latin, I think, and she would splash the water on the Ouija board. Then we would ask our question and we would ask, is the ghost we're talking to comfortable with speaking to us?
Okay.
Then it answered yes. So the lady in the road kept speaking, and the IFF was already on 3 levels.
Okay.
The person of the IFF started moving around a bit and got to 5 levels.
Okay.
So then we asked another question. Are you friendly? And then it took us over to no.
Okay.
So we were confused on why it's not friendly but it wants to talk to us. So we were checking with it, what's its purpose, on what it wants to speak with us.
Okay.
We were asking it questions like that.
Yeah, yeah.
Then we asked it, is it speaking to us so it can possess one of us? And it said yes. So then we got scared. So us in the Ouija board, in the circle of the salt, we experienced nothing. We didn't hear anything. But the lady with the down on what's the road, that's it.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes. She said she was hearing voices from the ghosts, what we were speaking to. And the friend of the IFF meter, he dropped on his knees and he covered his ears and he started mumbling.
Okay. Now, just for clarification here, your friend with the IFF meter was not in the circle with you.
No, he was not.
Okay. Go on.
He was outside of the circle. He dropped on his knees and he started mumbling.
Okay.
So me and my friend who were in the circle of salt, we stayed in there thinking we'll be fine. And the lady in the road,
Yeah.
she said, I'm packing up. So she started packing up and she decided to leave. Our friend was still on the floor with his head on the floor and his ears closed and he was still mumbling.
Okay.
So then we started asking him questions. We like calling his name, are you okay, are you fine? And then he screamed like in a high-pitched voice, he screamed no. Then me and my friend, we ran out of there, and our other friend, we don't know what happened with him, but it was in like his area where he lived. So we phoned him the other day, if he got home safely and how was it. And he didn't message us back, but he read the, like we sent him a voice message.
Yeah.
He read the voice message, but he never messaged us back. So now we confused on if he's gonna confirm if he's fine or if he's
Okay, now this happened
safe.
recently?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, for the everybody else's that are doing the listening here on, the explanation that he's just given of the use of the board is the standard methodology of using it properly. To put it in a salt circle is standard. You're supposed to. It's supposed to protect you. And it seems that it did, as the effects were on the friend that was outside. The IFF meter it's one of these electronic devices that are supposed to register if there is spiritual activity around you. Now, those who say that it do work, they say it's great, it does exactly what it's meant to. There's a lot of people who will tell you, no, it's all rubbish, it doesn't work at all. It's a matter of argument because obviously you either believe it or you don't. There's a good comment from Endless Thoughts for you that fits to this. Since first man feared the hush of midnight's glass, we cry to shades beyond the living veil. Very true, and that's exactly really what we are talking about. So all of the things that were explained, so your levels on your meter, basically, it looks like, imagine if you will a Geiger counter, which obviously the higher the level on the Geiger counter, the more radiation you're picking up. The IFF meter basically does exactly the same thing but for paranormal activity, and the higher it goes, the stronger it is. So that's basically what that is. It's another modern electronic device that at least those that use it say will in fact pick up whether or not something is present. Again, it's argued mainly by people who are wanting a more scientific proof, which isn't always possible in this case, and we could equally argue from the other side that, well, that is scientific proof, why don't you believe? So it's a matter of opinion, shall we say, on these things. But nevertheless, absolutely, these are things that are used regularly for that. Now, what's very interesting is the person that was using the incantations, I would very much be curious as to which ones they used and from what religion. The fact that they're in Latin seems to imply that they are, at least historically speaking, fairly modern, which means absolutely nothing in terms of efficacy, merely that they come from the more modern age, and are probably derivative in either a positive or negative way of the Abrahamic religions. So there is that. And I see that good old Endless Thoughts has modernized her poetry from the ancient to the immediate. Now through cold phones and wires we bid them pass, and ghosts reply, and pixels faint and pale. This is the question. If ghosts are real, could we pick them up electronically? Well, as I say, what we really do need to do is figure out what they are.
Hello, Jan here again.
Yes,
I just
Jan.
had to. May I add on the story that my friend presented to us?
Yes.
So I'd like to speak about my experience inside the shelter.
Okay. So you were there.
Yes,
Yes.
yes, yes.
Okay. Go on.
There was 5 of us.
Okay.
There was 5 of us, but only 4 in the circle because that's all we could fit.
Yes.
The one friend who couldn't fit yours with that.
He was the one with the meter.
Yes, the IFF meter, and then the church lady was also outside.
Yes.
She was outside the circle. She was not inside. She was outside the circle.
Do you know which church she was from?
No, we just got it off Craigslist.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah, because our friends, it was actually a day to go do paranormal stuff. And then me and our friend Schmidley, we decided, no, we need some protection. Because we
Yes.
didn't know if the salt was going to work. So we bought the candles. And we bought the candles and we brought the spiritual protection. That's what she was listed at. And it was 500 nothing per hour.
Wow. Okay.
So we got all of the protection. Then we were ready. We went to it was in the middle. It was like an abandoned estate. No one lives there, and you have to go through a field. and there was like a church in the middle. It was a community.
Okay. Now, I don't want specifics, please, at all, but what...
Wait, sorry, can you just repeat? My phone's bugging out.
I say I don't want any specifics at all.
Sorry.
No, of anything personal, because obviously personal protection and what have you. But what major city are we talking about?
The Vaal Triangle.
Good enough. Okay, so we're talking
Yeah.
South Africa and within
Yes.
the Vaal Triangle. This is great.
Yes.
Okay, so this gives us a generalized location.
Yes, but I'm actually not done. I forgive you for interrupting, but it's okay.
No, but
So
carry on.
okay. So as I say, 2 of us were in the circle because there was 4 of us, and then 5 plus the, I don't know what even to call her. Let's just call her a priest.
Good enough, yeah.
Yeah. So then the others were outside the circle. Then it was just. Then there was one person waiting by the door just in case.
Wise.
Sorry, repeat?
I say that's probably wise.
Yeah. He didn't have any balls. He was a fucking cake, a pussy. But anyways.
Okay. That is very, very interesting indeed.
Yeah. Yeah, go on, sorry. Okay, let me continue.
Yes.
Our theory turned out to be true. He did end up to be a fucking hell.
Okay. There you have that, and may make of it as you will. And I hope somebody has carefully saved Endless Thoughts' fantastic poetry going on there. That's pretty cool. Nevertheless, okay, so moving along with this. So we've had the concept of demons per se for centuries. We've seen that. We also see that we've had the concept of spirits way before we even had the concept of gods. That was, it seems, to be the first idea. Gods developed afterwards. Not that they weren't there, and I'm not saying that at all. I'm merely saying that from the human perspective, at least. So the idea of the other world has risen in human cultures way back. We see them in the Greeks, the Romans, the Celtics, Germanics. We know that in a great number of the African cultures, you've got all sorts of different things going on there. So the human idea of spirits absolutely has existed for a very long time. And spirits were developed first, then gods and goddesses. But spirits is a very broad term, and it can refer to both the good and the bad, whereas the much more modern view of things, what we would call a demon, refers to the bad. In the modern sense, the word, of course, comes from the Greek, daimonion, which just means a spirit and could be good or bad. So again, absolutely a more varied thing. So the modern wording has changed in its meaning, partly, I would say, due to the modern religions in that regard. The concept of angels and demons is absolutely from the Abrahamic religions in a great many ways. And of course, they are set as opposing. So you've got your good ones on the one side and the bad ones on the other side. But even these, by and large, came from other things. And the Enuma Elish from the Sumerian culture, which is very, very old, speaks of what I suppose were proto-angel type things, the Anunnaki, which some say actually are neither angels nor demons, but in fact were a kind of alien that some say came to Earth to mine for gold, which was important to them for some reason. So you've got a whole collection of possibilities in that regard. Now, basically what we've established is that people think that there is at least one other world and possibly multiple. Modern people have added to that not just another world but also extraterrestrial life, and have pointed out that perhaps these beings are in no way supernatural at all. They are in fact extraterrestrials, aliens, if you will. Along with that, in the 20th century, we are now starting to talk, what with science looking at dimensional physics and all the rest of that, which may or may not be true, and saying that what about interdimensional beings? So not from other planets, but different dimensions. Now, of course, all of this has again heavily been influenced by fantasy and science fiction, which have taken these ideas and run with it very, very, very hard. And of course it feeds back. It makes us have particular viewpoints. And I'm not saying they're right and I'm not saying they're wrong, but they definitely influence. So clearly the whole point of human viewpoints necessarily does affect things. Now, the spirits, as opposed to the wider thing, ancient Mesopotamia, the ancient Babylonians, ancient Egyptians, you had a number of different kinds of things. You had your wanderer demons, which were bad, your guardian demons, which may or may not have been good. We know that Zoroastrianism is dualistic, so you've got the good guys, Ahura Mazda, and the evil guy, Ahriman, and his devas are the demons, if you will, and it is up to humans to choose between Ahura Mazda and Ahriman, and therefore establish your good or your bad. So, and huge thanks for all of those likes, by the way, I appreciate massively. But yes, so we've developed our understanding, but what we really need to take from this and remember and be careful with is the idea of there being spirits is not a modern thing. The idea of demons is not a modern thing, and it's predated pretty much all of our modern religions, barring one or two. Well, which one or two? Well, there are still Zoroastrians, and of course we also know that the Hindu religion is massively ancient and has all of these stories as well. So they go back. We know that the Book of Enoch, which is non-canonical for most churches, but nevertheless was originally part of the Bible, describes the demons as the disembodied spirits of the Nephilim, the offspring of the fallen angels with people, which may or may not be the case. Certainly early Christian writers took the idea of daimonion, the Greek view of morally ambivalent spirit things, and turned it into an exclusively evil entity, a minion of Satan, which may or may not be accurate, it's hard to say. Some say within Christianity that demons are fallen angels, and others say no, that's not the case at all. They're two separate things. Whether or not it is or is not the case is arguable, of course. Hey there, just a guy.
baby.
How are you? He just came on to say hello. We know that in the modern age, they certainly turn up in literature, film, psychology, and all the rest of it, but a great many people say aren't really real. And we see in our modern language, we'll say if somebody's struggling with psychological things that you're dealing with your demons, which is not a bad description in a great many ways. Now, where did the idea of all of these things come from? Well, they say originally it was a mix of animism, the idea of things having spirits, which in the modern world is largely discounted by science, but not by religions. So animism still has its supporters. Also, psychology says that when there was a lack of scientific knowledge, people believed that natural but inexplicable things were the work of spirits, and cite things such as the will-o'-the-wisp and what have you. Whether or not this is true or false is a matter of belief, of course. And then we see a lot of very early literature speaking of these things. It's written on walls in Egypt, in hieroglyphs, on tablets in cuneiform from the Babylonian times, and all the rest of it. Now, we do, whether or not you believe in it, do have to consider the psychological explanations. Cognitive biases. The human brain is wired to recognize patterns, so you interpret ambiguous sights or sounds as paranormal activity, but really they're not. Sleep paralysis, which is a very scary thing, leads to hallucinations of shadowy figures or threatening presences that aren't really there, but it's that moment between sleep and wake where you can't move. And then, of course, people are said to be very suggestible, and social influence will affect you in that regard. Now, whether or not you accept the psychological explanation, of course, is entirely up to you. We know that in the modern era, the idea of horror absolutely has taken off. Everybody loves a good ghost story, and goth literature absolutely has become a huge thing. M.R. James, Henry James, Lafcadio Hearn, and more. That kind of thing. We know that in the Victorian age you had the rise of spiritualism, which was a huge attempt by a great many people to contact the spirits of the dead. And it was considered to be important. And in the modern day, with all kinds of anime and manga, you see a lot of stuff that touches on this, that are very popular. Ghost hunting programs, online videos, and of course, me. So clearly there's a huge interest in these things, absolutely. So it continually feeds the mill, if you will. But then, of course, we have to ask the question of this. Let's assume that ghosts do exist, that demons do exist. We're assuming, for the sake of argument. The question is, how on earth would you tell the difference? How would you know? So, what are ghosts? Ghosts are at least said to be the souls or spirits of deceased human beings. They generally are associated with unfinished business, a strong connection to a particular place, or a desire to communicate with the living. They are not necessarily good nor evil. They might just be sad, confused, or even trying to help. What makes them specific is that they are the deceased spirit of a once living being, generally but not always human. They may haunt their former home or be linked to a specific place, such as where they died, or to a specific object or person. Now, demons, on the other hand, were never living beings. They are supernatural entities of non-human origin, like angels, and in the modern age, demons are specifically and inherently malevolent, and they are purely there to cause trouble. They feed on negative energy and life force and are parasitic in that regard. And they may actively attempt possession. So you have that. Now, one of the ways that they say you will know the difference is based on behavior. If it is malicious, it's generally considered to be demonic. If it is more creepy or mischievous but not threatening, it's more likely ghost-like. If it has human-like behaviors, such as connection to the past or a sense of being trapped, it's probably a ghost. If it's powerful or corrupting, it's more likely that it's a demon. Now, that is all arguable, of course, but it's a good place to begin. So what are the oldest accounts of these? As we've said, there are Sumerian texts where the Udug was mentioned, which could affect people in a number of ways, and a ritual practitioner would be called on to drive it out, a priest, if you will. In ancient Egypt, the oldest depictions appear on an ancient Egyptian leather manuscript. Papa D asked to join. Let's see what they... No, he's gone. Which was found. And it would, apparently could also affect people and possess them. And again, you needed a priest to let them back in. Papa D, we need you to be on a few times before we allow you to join in general, because we've had too many trolls in the past and we need to know you. If you're a follower and a friend, then absolutely we would allow. Thanks for those likes there, peoples. Do appreciate. But new peoples have to show some bona fides, I'm afraid. We have an account from ancient Persia around 600 BCE showing evidence of exorcism using prayer, ritual, and holy water by Zoroaster. We know the Hebrew Bible itself doesn't say a lot about them. It does mention their existence, and we know that in 1 Samuel, for example, you will find a case of possession, though what exactly it was and why is another story entirely. So King Saul was afflicted and tormented. But what's interesting is that it says that it was an evil spirit sent by God. Why would God do that? I suppose it's arguable. So what about spirits? Well, as we said, spirit is a broad category. There may or may not be such things out there. They absolutely are non-ghosts, but they may or may not be good or evil. They are non-physical, energetic, or disembodied beings. They can include everything up to and including ghosts, angels, demons, or anything. How we refer to them in that regard, as opposed to your modern explanation, which is specific. Endless Thoughts, do you know Papa D? Shall we let him join? Endless Thoughts says no. Okay. So let's look at some specific stories, which you may or may not believe in, and I would welcome huge amounts of comment on these stories. But we are going to begin with one which you have probably all heard of, the Amityville Horror. Now, of course, they made all kinds of movies about them, but the movies were based on an originating story which apparently was true. Now, supernatural forces terrorizing a family when they move into a new house in New York State, where there was a recent mass killing in the home of an 18th century Satanist. Now that's the basic background. Okay. That is very, very fair.
All three of them.
Thank you for the assistance in achieving the live goal. I do appreciate that. That is awesome. So the story goes like this. Okay. 1974. The DeFeo family were apparently all murdered by Ronald DeFeo Jr., who was convicted of killing 6 family members. A year later, the Lutz family moved into the house but fled after 28 days, claiming that they were terrorized by paranormal events such as unexplained sounds, strange apparitions, physical changes in Cassie Lutz, and so on. Their story has been widely debated. It was made into a popular book and films, and the claims were investigated even by famous paranormal researchers of the time, such as Ed and Lorraine Warren, and we know who they are if you have followed this channel for any particular time. So what happened? November 13, 1974, Ronald DeFeo Jr. shot and killed his mother, father, and 4 siblings with a rifle while they slept in their beds. The murders were particularly disturbing because no one in the neighborhood reported hearing the gunshots, and the victims were all found on different floors, which means that having it shot one, you would think the others would wake up. Now, DeFeo was convicted on 6 counts of second-degree murder in 1975, November, and sentenced to 6 consecutive terms of 25 years to life in prison. So, house cleaned up, he's in jail, and the Lutzes move in less than a month after DeFeo's conviction. George and Kathy Lutz and their 3 children moved into the house, which was sold furnished with the previous family's belongings. Now, as we say, they alleged, we're not saying it's true, we're not saying that it's wrong, we're just saying this is the report. They reported strange noises, flies appearing during a cold winter, which is very unusual, and chilling cold spots. Cassie said that she experienced physical changes, and the family claimed to see menacing apparitions. George described a demon-eyed pig face appearing often at the window. Leaving the house just after 28 days, the family fled in the middle of the night, leaving most of their belongings behind. Now, we know that in 1977, the entire story was detailed in the book called The Amityville Horror, and after that there were several films which got everyone's attention. So there's that. Many aspects of the Lutz family story have been questioned, and some involved had admitted to embellishments, and critics say that the entire thing was a hoax. Now, the house itself has become a tourist attraction due to its infamous history, and many of the locals actually dislike the attention that it receives. In a letter from prison, Ronald DeFeo Jr. said that the haunting story was a hoax, but some say that his claims were considered to be motivated by money. Is it true? Is it false? Well, hard to say. We know that the book, the original one, was by Jay Anson, published in September of 77. From 79 onward, there was a whole collection of different films, and I will tell you an interesting fact. The demon, when it appears in the first movie, was particularly chilling. And I remember seeing it in the theaters, and it was terrifying. But what made it very, very interesting was they made it by having extremely fine silk spinning on a concealed rod, which made it one of the creepiest and most effective forms of movie special effects ever. So there you go, that's how they did it. So Ronald DeFeo Jr. was 23 when he did what he did. They lived at 112 Ocean Avenue, a large Dutch colonial revival house in the suburban neighborhood in Amityville, which is a very real place on the south shore of Long Island, New York. The trial lasted 7 weeks. He was convicted of second-degree murder. So you get degrees in murder based on the mental state of the murderer. In case you're wondering why you have different degrees. First degree, you knew what you were doing, you meant it, you knew exactly, and you went ahead and did it. As opposed to second degree, where maybe you were not mentally stable, but still culpable. In 75, George and Kathy Lutz went in. They also had their dog Harry. So the house remained empty for 13 months after the DeFeo murders. So 13 months. They got the house, the Lutzes, at a bargain price of $80,000. 5-bedroom house, distinctive gambrel roof that by and large has become almost your standard house for anything horror because of this, showing how our modern view of things is affected by stories, real or not. It had a boathouse, a swimming pool, and it was located on a canal. We know that George and Cassie married in July of 75, and each had their own homes, but they wanted to start fresh with a new property. Cassie had 3 children from a previous marriage, Daniel, Christopher, and Melissa, or Missy, 9, 7, and 5 respectively, and their dog was a crossbreed Malamute Labrador named Harry. During their first inspection of the house, the real estate broker told them about the DeFeo murders and asked if this would affect their decision. They discussed it and decided it was not a problem. Good, bad, clever, who's to say? They moved in December 18th, so they had Christmas. Yay! Much of the DeFeo family's furniture remained in the house and was included for $400 as part of the deal. A friend of George learned about the history of the house and insisted on having it blessed. At the time, George was a non-practicing Methodist and had no experience of what this would entail. Cassie was a non-practicing Catholic and explained the process. So George knew a Catholic priest named Father Ray, who agreed to carry out the house blessing and apparently they asked for this blessing to be done. We know in the book the real life priest, Father Ralph J. Pecoraro, was referred to as Father Mancuso for privacy reasons. So according to the book at least, Father Mancuso was a lawyer, judge of the Catholic court, and a psychotherapist who lived at the local Sacred Heart Rectory. He arrived to perform the blessing while George and Cassie were unpacking their belongings on the afternoon of December 18th. Now, for those of you who don't know, the blessing of a house is a very common thing for Catholics, especially practicing Catholics, and doing such things is completely normal. Whether or not anything has happened in any house, having your house blessed is a Catholic thing. So there's that. According to the story, he went into the building to carry out the rites, and when he turned in and began to flick the holy water and begin to pray, a masculine voice demanded that he get out. When he left the house, Father Mancuso did not mention this incident to either George or Cassie. But then on the 24th of December, he called George Lutz and advised him to stay out of the second floor room where he had heard the mysterious voice, the former bedroom of Mark and John DeFeo that Cassie planned to use as a sewing room. But the call was cut short by static. Following his visit to the house, Mancuso allegedly developed a high fever and blisters on his hands similar to the stigmata. At first, George and Cassie experienced nothing unusual, but talking about their experience subsequently, they reported that it was as if they were each living in a different house, whatever that may mean. By mid-January of 76, another attempt at a house blessing by George and Cassie was done, and they experienced what would turn out to be their final night in the house. They declined to give a full account of the events that took place on this occasion, describing them as too frightening. They got in touch with Father Mancuso, and they took some of their belongings and went to stay at Cassie's mother's house in nearby Deer Park, New York, until they had sorted out the problems with the house. They claimed that the phenomena followed them there, with the final scene of Anderson's book describing greenish black slime coming up the staircase towards them. January 1476, George and Kathy, with their 3 children and dog, left 112 Ocean Avenue, leaving all their possessions behind. The mover arrived to remove the possessions to send to the Lutzes. He said he saw no paranormal events at all. And Spooky wants to say things. I think Endless Thoughts did very well tonight. That is a massively awesome poem. You must definitely write it down and send it on to us, and we shall keep it as a treasure of the channel. So Spooky, your comments so far?
No comment.
Not
I can
yet.
carry on. No, I had a few questions throughout the live, but didn't stop you. Didn't want to interrupt you.
Well, don't forget those questions, because we're about to finish the report and there are a number of questions I have as well. So the mover said there was no paranormal phenomena. The book was written after Jay Anson was introduced to George and Kathy Lutz. The Lutzes did not work directly with Anson, but submitted around 45 hours of tape-recorded recollections to him that were used as the basis for the story. The book sold around 10 million copies, which tells you everything about people's interest in the paranormal. So, absolutely. Now, the book was by and large supposedly a combination of fiction and reality. So, question 1. What was it that was supposed to be there? We know that there was an 18th century Satanist that was supposed to have lived and worked his thing in the house. We see a number of things that do not fit to what we would generally call ghost behavior, which implies that what you have here is a demonic situation, using the most modern view of the word. But the question that you almost want to ask is, what kind of demon and from where? Obviously, within specific religions, they will say, well, it's their religion is true, naturally, and I'm not arguing they are right or wrong in any manner or form. But are these creatures that are out there from some kind of evil deity in any manner or form? Are they a malevolent creature that exists within our world? Are they something from another dimension? It's a good question. Clearly it was supposedly malevolent, assuming it was true. So, Spooky, hit me with your questions.
Hit you with your questions.
Yes.
Your questions. I didn't say you're weird.
I think that's wonderful. Are you two fighting?
No, not at all.
Okay, so what questions does you have?
The last question.
Yes.
Yeah, no, I forgot them. No, it happens so often throughout all your lives. But then I don't stop you to ask the question.
I think in future you should, so we can get the questions, at least, even if I don't answer them immediately, we can get them put out there, or type them into the comments.
Many of the times I think like you won't be able to answer them anyway.
Well,
They are dumb questions.
I can always try.
Yeah.
Do we have scientific evidence of any of this having happened at all? No. We have the word of the Lutzes. If you ever saw the movie, it was supposed to have fit very closely to what really happened. I did see the movie. It was absolutely terrifying. And I would certainly say that this was not a haunting, but a demonic influence in that regard, in terms of, though what kind, I suppose, is arguable, and it depends on your religion. And there's that. We do know that the Lutzes sold their places and bought this place and then just walked out on it, which sort of implies, I mean, if you've just got the one house you've got to live in, what the hell would you leave it for after 28 days? I mean, it seems a bit counterintuitive if it was just an invented story.
So, these stories that you're talking about, they're not that old.
No. These are more modern ones, which I wanted to bring up, at least to the start, because we've got a lot of detail that is given in them to look at. Again?
No, I don't want to take over your life.
No, go. You're part of it.
Did you know that the Romans were big believers in ghosts?
They absolutely were. Now, the problem with the older stuff, and we will talk about a couple of them, is that we have limited things said to talk about. Though we do have one exception, which is the story of Pliny the Younger. Was it the Younger or the Elder? It was one of the Plinys. That does explain a whole story. And we are going to have a look at it.
They've got lots of stories and myths and famous examples.
So we are going to go through a whole collection of specific stories. But I started with this one purely because it's one that everybody has heard of, the Amityville Horror. I mean, let's face it. You can't have watched movies. If you like horror, you've heard of it. So that was my reason for choosing this one, but not everybody has heard of Pliny the Elder, to be fair. So it was merely a case of somewhere to begin, if you will. So yes, the older ones are, for me as well, far more interesting. And for those who don't know, both Plinys were considered to be very serious individuals. They were not in any manner or form considered to be flakes, and what they said was taken with great seriousness. So if a story was recounted by one of them, you may consider that they at least absolutely did believe in it. So we have that going for us. So the Amityville one, whether or not you believe in it, you can give your opinions in the comments, but it was very much well known and very interesting, and it was said to be based on a true story. So you have that at least. It was not that long ago. It has spawned not only the books, but 26 spin-offs to the movies. So
Can
besides,
I ask you a
yes,
personal question?
you may.
Okay. Who will you come back and haunt someone? Who will you haunt?
It's an interesting question. By and large, I will answer it in two ways. The first is I don't think I would want to come back voluntarily. I think when I'm done, I'm going to be pretty much done. That said, I think to come back and haunt somebody, you would need to have either a particular dislike of a particular person or place to want to do it. And I can't say I do. Or there has to be something unfinished. So if I came back, it would probably be an unfinished thing, personally. Because I don't hate anyone that badly.
So why do ghosts haunt? They have reasons, or are they doing it willingly? Like you said, you won't do it willingly.
Well, you seem to get different types of ghosts. If you recall our discussions when we went through the whole ghost theme, one of the reasons for haunting is particular anger or hatred, and they tend to always be the bad ones, the poltergeists and so on, and to have the most energy. That said, I have known a couple to haunt a restaurant because they loved it there and saw no reason to leave. They never caused any harm, they just hung around and enjoyed the place. So you can do it because you simply want to and you like it that much.
Can I try to be haunted? Maybe if I move into a haunted house, or go and live on top of somebody's grave, or...
Yes. That is something that seems to be a possibility, that it is possible to become haunted if in some way you disturb a ghost. And it does as well seem that certain things are haunted, and as long as nobody messes with them, it's never a problem. But if you start going and messing with the thing, it upsets the ghost, and then you can become haunted by it. So it does seem to be possible.
If I ask you to just give me the right to go and mess with your grave, so I can see if you will come back and haunt me, will that, because you signed the piece of paper, will you then not haunt me?
Well, you see, the big argument, the big problem is, what is it that causes a ghost to become a ghost? And just agreeing to something like that doesn't necessitate that somebody will. And it does imply that you do need to have a ghost present for you to become haunted by it. So let's say I die, I won't come back as a ghost just because I said I would. I'd have to have a really good reason that's emotionally strong enough. Okay.
There's reasons why ghosts don't pass away. That's, for instance, if their wishes haven't been achieved. Or...
Correct. So an emotionally strong enough reason. Sometimes, however, at least temporarily, some ghosts seem to not have realized that they're dead, and they don't know to move on. And by letting them know that they are in fact dead, often will cause them to go, because they now realize.
Where can I find a ghost? Where's the most reasonable possible place
Hospital.
to find a ghost? Is it at a graveyard?
Never
or
at a graveyard.
That's where they die.
Never at a graveyard, because by the time the body gets to the graveyard, for the most part, especially in the modern age with modern science, that's the last place a ghost will haunt. Hospitals, where people die all the time, often not wanting to, or places of death, absolutely, would be the biggest and most likely places for that. And if you can make it an environment that's very, very stressful, so a hospital that also has mentally damaged individuals in some way, that would be a fine location to get a ghost.
But this is all fictional. I mean, if it was true, I could guarantee that there would be a bunch of YouTubers that would go and piss on somebody's grave to get haunted.
But as I say, you would have to have a ghost present, because not everybody becomes a ghost. And I am absolutely certain that quite a lot of YouTubers have done just that. I do know somebody that went and did just that at a place where there was supposed to be a ghost and needed to be exorcised afterwards.
Do you know
So-
somebody personally, or you know some
Personally.
stories?
Personally, remember, as I said, I did work with the chief exorcist for KwaZulu-Natal for the Catholic Church. I've encountered a number of interesting things.
Okay, but this is stories that he makes up because that's how he gets paid.
The exorcist?
Yeah, so pay me some money and I'll free you from your...
the exorcist for KZN is a Catholic priest. His job is to be a Catholic priest. The exorcist is merely an expertise that he also has within the faith.
Yeah, but it's...
He is not
it's a-
paid,
Well, people will donate money, yeah.
but he
Did a
gets
good job.
he gets none of it.
Yeah, until you see his house.
He was a member of the Order of Friar Servants of Mary. He took vows of poverty, and he lived in the same house that I did when I was a monk of the Order of Friar Servants of Mary. I did see his house.
Okay.
So that's why I gave more credence to what I saw with him than to a lot of people who are, as you say, paid to do that sort of thing, because he got nothing for doing his job. Whereas people who are paid to do that, obviously the better the story, the more they get paid. And therefore it would be suspect. So absolutely your skepticism is correct in that regard. I have seen demonic afflictions that have occurred personally. And yeah, they did not turn up like hauntings at all. I have seen ghosts as well, personally. And they do not turn up like demonic afflictions. So do I think they're real? Yes. Do I think all of the stories you encounter out there are true? No. I think there are far less ghosts out there than people say. Simply because it's not a common thing for someone to become a ghost, and is absolutely a tragic thing for someone to become a ghost. But
Do you think I have a big problem with believing people because I do not believe you? I do not believe all the stories that I hear. I've never seen it or witnessed it myself.
I don't think it's a problem per se.
I don't see any hard evidence about it. I mean, I would probably say that more people do not believe than people that do believe. Like, I would probably say the people that actually believe there's ghosts would probably be less than 10%. And
Oh, no, a lot
actually
more
saw real
people-
ghosts,
A lot more people
less than that.
believe than you think. Whether or not they're right is arguable. And you're being skeptical of this is an absolutely understandable situation. And why should you? Unless actual proof can be provided, why should you? There is no particular reason.
I want the only way that I could actually truly know is probably if I get haunted. So I'm gonna try and piss a bunch of ghosts off until they say, "No, look, I'm here."
Well, certainly you could do that. I dare say that you might regret it if it works, or you might be vindicated, which is absolutely true. As I say, in my experience, hospitals are the best place, especially mental hospitals and such, simply because
How
you've
would I
got
know
enough.
if I see a ghost or not? Is it transparent? I can see right through it, or does it look like a human person and might walk past me and I wouldn't even know?
It depends on the strength of the spirit. You get both kinds. I've seen both kinds. And some can't even properly manifest, the really weak ones.
But normally they can't move stuff, right? I can't see like a floating cup.
Usually no. They would have to have really a lot of strength to be able to do that. And in general, because it seems to rely on emotional strength, usually the only ones with enough strength to do that are the malevolent ones who are really motivated by absolute hate and anger. In which case, I would say
So what happens to them? They do not stay ghosts forever, because there's probably how many people have already died, and we can probably go back thousands of years. Where's the dead Romans? Why do we not see them walking around?
Some you can. There are stories, at least, of some that they say you can. But I personally believe that in terms of ghosts, they either move on or fade as their emotional attachment fades. And eventually you get nothing more than a place that feels a bit weird in that regard. So it does absolutely depend. And in general, at least from what I understood when I worked with The Exorcist, exorcisms are not for ghosts. Ghosts generally are just not a problem. Exorcisms are for demonic beings, which are not ghosts. Now, obviously, their existence implies that you believe in such things, so there is that.
What language did the Romans speak?
Latin.
Nobody understands.
So,
Who talks like English?
who talks like endless?
Yeah. Well, I'm reading a comment. While
Oh.
shadow prowls and hours fleeting past, my lines shall dance and keep the chat ablaze.
Yes. While shadows prowls and owls fleeting past, my lines shall dance and keep... I think that's very pretty. I like it.
Fear not the dark, my verse is candle bright. I stand on watch and breathe for thee this night.
See? She's protecting you. Now, how do we know if there's a ghost around? Well, according to what we are told, scent is a common thing. To smell the aftershave of your father or the tobacco that he smoked, showing that he's still around, might be a low-level proof of their being there. Some people tend to say that, yeah, absolutely. I know that there was a very interesting story of a guy who was at home in the house where he had grown up. His father was now in a nursing home elsewhere, and sitting there one evening, he could smell that his father's aqua velva, which he didn't like, but his dad said was manly. And he thought, geez, that's quite a bit of a smell, oddly enough. And he wondered why. So the next day he phoned the nursing home, and they said, you better come over. We were about to call you because unfortunately your father passed away last night. So this guy was like, hey, wait, what? Now, there were no disembodied ghosts and things and what, but nevertheless, it was an indication, if you will, from beyond the grave. So maybe. It's more than a pleasure, Indra's thoughts. I think it is very pretty too. So I'm absolutely asking you to make sure you copy it and send it to me, because I do want to keep it. So yeah, you've got that going for you. Now, there's a chap that wrote a whole blog on this, which I found very interesting, that said that his first real ghost story began when they were 5. It wasn't disembodied sense or lights turning on and off or footsteps, but a whole lot of smaller occurrences that built up at first. So there was also a full-bodied apparition. So they could be a full-bodied apparition, absolutely. And of course, as every kid, his parents told him it was their imagination. So they spent most of their childhood thinking they were crazy. Now, I can absolutely resonate with this because I've seen ghosts all my life. I just do. And yes, my parents told me exactly the same thing, and I also thought that I was crazy. Then in their 30s, they told their mother, and she laughed at him. Turns out she had seen it too, as had her mother. But their father wouldn't talk about it, but was afraid of the house. So it seems that there were spirits in their house, and every now and then they saw them. They didn't really do anything. They weren't a problem, which is often the case with ghosts. They were just there. So it might have been a shock to see them, but they were not malevolent. And they say that they have come home on occasion to house guests, sitting on the porch at night, saying that they'd rather not stay inside alone because of things they saw or disturbing occurrences. So the house they live in clearly does have a ghost, according to them. Now, is it true? Well, I suppose it's hard to say. But it makes for a very interesting story, if nothing else. We've got that going for it. What about the question you asked? Real science versus ghost stories. Who comes out on top? And, well, I've always believed in them because I've seen them. And I've worked in this line of things for a long time in my life. So I've seen a whole lot of stuff, both ghosts and demons and things, or at least what we call demons. Whether or not they are is arguable. But I've seen the things, if you will.
Okay. So I've just asked Google how many people believe in ghosts, and wow, it's actually quite a lot of people.
Right? Now-
They've done polls, so they went around, asked a bunch of people. So they estimate in England, which is low, it's 36%.
That
Of
is
people
low
believe-
for England.
Yes. The US is 41%.
That doesn't surprise
These are
me.
Western countries. Western countries, they like science more than ghost stories.
Yes.
So if you go to start going to other countries, then it starts rising a lot more.
Well, I
41%,
mean,
almost half of America believes in ghosts.
that is a lot. That is a lot. Now, it is fair to say, and in respect to yourself, that what exactly it is that is seen is questionable, and science can't prove any of it. Now, whether it's because science is limited or because it's all in people's imagination and it doesn't exist is, of course, a matter for belief and up for grabs. So, yeah, on one hand, we know that science gets things wrong all the time and it is very limited, but it is what we've got and it's very important. So, yes, we know that it's hard to put laws that we all agree on to the supernatural, which is absolutely true. But why is the favorite place for a haunting a haunted house? Well, probably because 99% of people throughout history have always died in homes. Nowadays, there's a much greater percentage that die in hospitals. So I suppose modern ghosts will be in hospitals. But most people in the past died in homes because that's where we live, which is logical, at least. So we can't fault that, at least. In my experience, hospitals are a fine place because of all the obvious reasons. So yes, we know there's a whole ton of places where
Do you believe in
people...
ghosts?
Say again?
Do you believe in ghosts?
Do I? Yes.
So you are one of the 63% of South Africans that believe in ghosts.
Yes, I absolutely am.
So 37%, I fall in the 37% that do not believe in ghosts.
Okay.
If you look at Thailand, over 90% of people in Thailand believe in ghosts.
Okay.
Maybe you should check out ghost stories in Thailand. Maybe they know things that we don't know.
Possibly. And we certainly will look for a couple there as well, and also around South Africa. As I say, I started with the Amityville one because, let's face it, the Amityville story is kind of the one. Now, it's arguable that we are easily able to believe in such things because we want to believe, that we need to believe there's more to this world than just science. And I suppose with that argument, that's true of religion. Nobody has proof that God exists or that you have a soul, but we very much want to believe that. So there is that argument, if you will. Or it's all true and we'll find out after we die, which again is arguable.
Do you think if I start to believe that there's ghosts, that I will start seeing ghosts?
In my experience, real encounters with ghosts have nothing to do with whether or not you believe. If it is there, you will experience it, and then you will know. If it is not there, or doesn't choose to show itself, you won't. So, no,
So you've met a ghost before.
Yes.
Who was that ghost? Who was he?
I've
He or
met
she.
several, one of which was a young schoolgirl who did not know she was dead, one of which was only there very briefly, and he was a cyclist who had just been killed by a car. Those are probably I've met a couple in Kempton Park Hospital, which
I
were...
don't want to sound mean or anything, but were you on anything at the time?
Well, no, and because of the way I am and the way I think, I don't even drink. So...
You don't even?
I don't drink.
Oh, you don't drink, okay.
Yeah.
Well, maybe because I do not believe it, that I wouldn't even recognize them when I see them.
It is a possibility. Certainly the openness to be convinced does play a part, because if you hear
Well, I want to
strange...
know I can find them. I want to be convinced.
Okay, but if you hear strange noises, your first thought is probably going to be more along the lines of you've got bad plumbing, or there's something wrong with the electrics, rather than, hey, maybe it's a ghost. So there is that side of things, which is arguable and not unreasonable.
How did you know that girl was dead? Could you see her? Was she transparent?
She was purely auditory. Which you may make of as you will. The cyclist that was killed by a car was... he looked like if you were standing next to me, completely real. And I only realized he was a ghost when I actually saw the body and realized it was the guy I'd been talking to. Which, as you can imagine, was something of a shock to me. So, with the strongest ones, I cannot tell the difference.
Did the ghost have a bike?
He was in cycle gear. And he was right next to me, and I could see him very clearly. And when I saw the body, I saw it right in front of me, and it was absolutely the same person.
Okay. So, I hope I'm dressed up nicely when I die.
Well, I remember reading a novel where one of the bits of advice was always make sure you wear clean underwear, because you never know, if you drop dead, how embarrassed would you be being found with dirty underwear and having to live for the rest of eternity haunting.
No, I think it depends on your legacy. I mean, shit could be, if you're a cyclist, it's most likely that this shit was driven over you. You shat your pants
Well,
before you died.
I suppose it depends how quickly you die, because you will tend to find that it does take a little while for the initial relaxation to kick in. So you've got a tension at death followed by rigor, and then the body relaxes, whereupon generally that's where you get the voiding.
Can you smell a ghost?
Apparently you can.
Does
I
it check it
haven't.
Just before it died, it will always stink.
The body does, but the spirit, not necessarily in the same way.
Because it's you can see it with the clothes it died with, but you can't smell its scent when it died. It doesn't keep the scent.
I suspect it will depend. I've known people who say that they can smell it. I never have.
You don't need to be the one going in first.
So maybe it's just not
Too close.
an ability I have.
But you can hear it and see it, but
I can hear and see, absolutely, but I cannot for the life of me remember ever having smelt. Arguable as well. It was never at the time the first thing I thought of. So, you know, like when I was in Kempton
much
Hospital.
easier to believe it's a ghost when you hear something or when you see something. Then you're convinced, oh no, it's a ghost. But smelling something strange without any visuals or hearing, then you probably won't believe it's a ghost.
Well,
Something
when I
there.
was in Kempton Hospital, I can tell you that the place has a very, very strong smell to it. So smelling much of anything isn't really a possibility, simply because the place stinks. It's old, abandoned, damp and mouldy. So, you know, there wouldn't have been much to be had out of that.
But if a ghost touches you, you feel it?
Would it be feelable? I suppose the only answer there is it depends on the strength of the ghost. If they're strong enough to move things, they're strong enough to touch you. I was pushed once by a ghost. And that was at Kempton Hospital. And it felt like I was pushed. So, yes, if it's strong enough.
Hospital. During your coma, you were on a bunch of wires, pumped up with medicine.
Say all that again, I didn't understand any of it.
Okay. You were at hospital,
Yes.
probably on a bunch of wires, bunch of medicines, probably
No.
hallucinating.
Kempton Hospital is an empty, abandoned hospital.
Okay.
And we went, that's why it's mouldy and damp and stinks, because it has not had anybody in it for quite a few years. If you Google Kempton Hospital, Kempton Park Hospital, it will give you the whole story. It's really interesting, and it's a very creepy story as well. We will cover it. In fact, maybe in the next live we will do it, because it's a very good one and a great story.
Is the infrastructure still okay? You can renew the place? Or?
Yes, they keep saying that they want to clean it out and reopen the hospital, but
You don't-
they
that-
just
that
haven't
doesn't happen.
for some reason.
Other people. They will sort it out. Turn it into a beautiful building.
Well, one would hope. Because the thing is, that area really, really does need another hospital. It needs it badly. And to have a huge, wonderfully built, decent hospital that nobody is using is like just stupid. I mean,
Well, we live in South Africa. You can
They-
expect.
well, there is that, but also some say that the reason that they don't reopen it is because they don't dare. I do know that the security refuses to patrol in the buildings. They only will patrol the outer grounds.
Okay.
But I've been there, and I can tell you, I've been there more than once, so I can tell you my stories about the place as well as the story of the hospital
For
in the
going
next
there.
live. I beg your pardon?
What was your reasons for going there?
I wanted to see the ghosts, to see if it was true.
Okay.
Um,
So he pushed you.
A girl on the roof who apparently committed suicide from there by jumping off the roof.
But a ghost normally have unfinished business.
Yes, but
So
remember,
somebody that would suicide themselves, they done with life.
it doesn't have to be unfinished business. It can be extreme emotion. So somebody very angry, and apparently she was a very, very angry, distraught girl.
Okay. So now she's continuing to suffer as a ghost.
Apparently so.
Okay. Pull it away.
It's difficult to believe, but I'll tell you what. We will pick up this story again in the next live and carry on, and we will do Kempton Hospital. And I will tell you not only the whole story of it, and you may make your opinion, I will tell you my experience of it. And you may decide what you think thereof. Because, as I say, I did go. So, yeah, if you're keen
Did you go
for...
alone, a team of people? Did you take cameras, some audio recorders?
No cameras, no audio recorders. The first time I went with 2 other people. The second time I went with 4 other people. And the third time I went on my own.
Okay. Yeah,
So-
because it's not easier to spot a ghost alone than having a group of people.
If it's there, it's there. In my experience. But not everybody seems to be able to see them or experience them.
Because I can imagine talking to the cyclist, people would think, no, you're probably on crack or something, just standing in the middle of the road talking to you, nothing.
Well, that was the interesting thing, because I realized afterwards that people were giving me very strange looks.
Yeah.
So they probably thought this guy's off his nut.
Yeah.
So, though fortunately, when I spoke, I asked a more general question that anybody could have answered, though he answered, and not other people. I could at least get away with it as just, oh, I asked the question of anybody and nobody answered, you know. So there was that at least. But yeah, that's how it went, and that was the story. And I will tell you the whole story of Kempton. So if you're interested in Kempton, guys, join us tomorrow, and we
Interesting
will
what
give you more.
asked him and his answer to your question.
His answer was literally that car killed one of the cyclists that was cycling down the hill.
Okay. And then we saw his body.
Yes, so there was
Yeah, it
quite
was
a
the same
crowd, and I couldn't see what was going on. And then the cops arrived and shooed everybody back, because it had just happened.
Yeah.
And as the crowd parted, I stepped forward just to a quick peek before I left.
Was it a
And
car accident?
the car hit the cyclist. So the cyclists were coming down the hill. I don't know how well you know KZN.
No.
Okay, so there's a fairly steep hill coming into Pinetown called Fields Hill, and it's notorious for accidents because it's very steep and it's very bendy. And it's also notorious because a lot of people drive down it thinking they can, and really, no, slow down, you can't. And there's been
Why doesn't the government do anything about it?
Yes, they have done. And there's all kind of warnings, but people are people. You know.
Speed bumps. Lots and lots of speed bumps.
Would make it more dangerous if you put speed bumps on that road as it is, actually. Unfortunately. and it is a very busy road. So people are warned all the time, and people ignore it all the time, and car accidents happen all the time. So yeah, some car had come around too fast, around a corner, and there were a group of cyclists, and he clipped one. Quatwank. So that was
Well, the
basically.
cyclist must go and find his killer and go haunt him.
Well, maybe he did. Who's to say? It's a very interesting spot, actually, because it's right next to the site of one of the original concentration camps in South Africa. Yeah.
Well, I
Lots
was
and
going to
lots.
say that why don't you go there and see if you can't find a ghost, but you've already found one there.
I found one there. I have also visited the place where the concentration camp was, which is right near there, and I didn't see anything, but I gotta say, it's one of the creepiest places to go through. And over the years, it's developed almost purely into a business district. There are no residential houses there, which is odd because it's a really nice bit of Pinetown. So maybe people sense it. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, sometimes I sense stuff. I can
Well-
sense like a ghost close by.
Maybe you should trust yourself.
I don't know.
Well, we will continue this in the next one, as I say, and I will tell you my experience. And yeah, maybe you will find some interest or inspiration, and maybe you won't. And if you don't, that's fine too. But yes, I think it's been an interesting one. And here's my thing. To all of you guys in the live, not just Spooky, come on, the rest of you as well, do send comments. You can send them to me, send a comment on this, and let me know what you think. Do you think that there really are things out there? Is there a difference between ghosts and demons and all the rest of it? Let me know. And yeah, we will be back tomorrow night, 10 o'clock, South African time, in the evening. And talk more. And Spooky, I do hope you join me, because I think that it's an interesting thing, even if you don't agree. But yeah, until then, my friend, have an absolutely amazing, and as we always say, remember,
Cool.
sleep deep, sleep
That's all.
sweet, but sleep with one eye open, because you never know. There are things out there that go bump in the night, and if you're not careful,
Open just to try and spot the ghost.
they might go bump for you. Spot a ghost for us, Spooky. Spot a ghost. See you
Cool.
tomorrow.
Enjoy.
Ciao, ciao. Good night. End of thoughts. Have a wonderful evening.